Hello everyone, and welcome to the config and tech video for a binary domain. Get my screens open here for us. Okay, so I got my install directory over here on the left. You'll have more files than me because I've hidden everything else that's not really important. I always try to keep folders visible, and then I just show what we are going to be talking about or working with, which will just be these files. You will have other files here. I've just gotten them out of the way, hidden them so that we don't get distracted. Already getting distracted and they're not visible. So in this video we'll be setting up binary domain general and advanced settings where needed. This will hopefully put the game in the best playable state that it can be. Put the game in the best playable state it can be. Any links that are covered in this video will be in the description below. So the first thing we're going to start with is some preliminary explanation and configuration. So cutscenes in this game. Cutscenes run at 30 FPS, frames per second, while the gameplay runs at 60 FPS. So during gameplay, video cutscenes, if they seem a little laggy or choppy, that's why. In Chapter 2, there's a sewer rescue mission, and this is straight from the PCGamewiki for binary domain. A sudden game over near the objective's goal during Chapter 2's sewer rescue mission, even when well within the time limit. This can always happen on the first attempt of any playthrough. Any subsequent attempt plays out fine. Can be preemptively avoided by manually reloading the checkpoint right after you first get to this part at the beginning of Chapter 2. I don't know if I'll remember. I'll try to. I've put notes for during my gameplay for myself. So when we get here, then you get a checkpoint. You just reload the checkpoint, and then this failure that can happen even if you finish it with enough time left, hopefully we'll be able to avoid. If not, we'll just get to do it again. I think this part's pretty fun to do anyway, so if it's what I remember it being, I won't spoil it. Some information about mouse and keyboard. I will be playing this game using mouse and keyboard. Mouse and keyboard flaws include the following. This game uses forced negative mouse acceleration, which makes the mouse movement terrible. We'll make adjustments below to address this issue. I don't know if it's true or not, but some keybind pop-ups in the game may not show when using mouse and keyboard. So there's a mouse fix for raw input from the mouse. It's available on GitHub. This link will be in the description of this video. So this file that you will download here from the tinyurl, this is a .dll and a .exe file that you need to drag and drop into the install folder for binary domain. So this folder, basically where the binary domain exe is. And the two files are going to be this dinput8.dll and this domaim, domaim.exe. The domaim.exe will generate a third file called this one, dom.aim, to store settings. Your antivirus may try and quarantine them as they are seen as random.dll and .exe files. If your antivirus does this, just reclaim it from quarantine. Write that in there. Reclaim it from quarantine. I think that's how you spell that. And then exclude it so that it will ignore it in the future. These files are safe. I'll just highlight all these right here and I'll show you. I'll do a Norton 360 scan just to show you. No threats found. 5 scanned, no risks, nothing wrong. So they're good, they're clean. I'm not going to give you guys something that's going to hurt your files or screw up your computer. I'm not that kind of person. I'm trying to help you guys, not make things worse. I'm just letting you know that this could happen. This is what you call, when this happens in these situations, with DLLs and whatnot, it's called a false positive. It's just antivirus software is very touchy, which is a good thing. It's doing its job. Okay, so once you drag those in there, if you use the plus and minus keys next to the backspace key on your keyboard, in game you use those keys to adjust the mouse sensitivity, which is really cool and nice. The current sensitivity will be shown in the HUD where the ammo counter is for a short period, so it'll replace the amount of ammo you got for whatever gun is active. And the counter, or the sensitivity, goes from 0 to 999. So if you go backwards through the cycling, because the default sensitivity for this mod is 50, and if you go backwards to 0 and go back again, it hits 999, and you can't go backwards anymore, but you can go from 0 all the way up to 999. We'll get into it here and I'll show you more into that, but that's how you adjust it in the game, and you actually get a visual representation of what it's doing. So the domain.exe will apply some additional options if you're interested. I recommend setting this domain.exe to run as administrator. This will help ensure that the domain.exe applies and retains your settings. To do this, follow the steps below. So you want to right click on the domain.exe and select properties. We'll do it together. So you bring up this screen and then click compatibility tab at the top, and then check the box towards the bottom that says run this program as an administrator. So right here I've already got mine checked. Put a check in that, click apply or click OK. If you click apply, then you need to click OK or the X to get out of the screen. If you click OK, it applies it and then closes out for you. So it's actually quicker to click OK than it is to apply it. And if you can tell, it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but there's a shield. Let me see if I can see how there's a shield right here where it says run administrator. If you right click on a file, you can do it manually. That little shield is right at the bottom right corner of the icon. Actually, I could do this, make them larger. There you go. And you can see I also have it applied to another file that we're going to get to, but it'll also show you on the file that it has administrator privileges applied to it automatically. So that's how you do that. So let's take a look at that file. So we're going to run it. So before you run it, when you just put this in here, you're going to have these two files come with the game. You'll just have these two files. The first time you run this, then it will generate this dom.aim, so it's safe. I tried looking at it. Open with Notepad. It's just got a few little scribbles in it. Doesn't really mean anything. It's encoded or encrypted or whatever. So anyway, we run this domain. It's going to ask you, since you have this set, with administrator, it's asking you to say it's okay. Say yes. It brings up this little screen here. So by default, the mouse sensitivity will be 50 based on my, DPI for my Razer mouse, which I have set around 800 DPI, just as a base. I lower it or increase it from there to 400 or to like 1000 based on if it's too slow or too fast, but I sit at 800 usually for most games. So based on that, I've set my mouse sensitivity to 100 through here. So I mentioned above here that you can use the plus or minus keys to do it in the game, which is true. You can also do it directly from here as well and get the same result. So if you set it to 100 here from 50, when you go into the game and you do the plus or minus, it's already going to be at 100. But so you'll just have to play with this. Try it at 50, at the default. I'd recommend do that. Don't adjust it from here. Leave it at 50, go in the game and do your plus or minus adjustments from there. And then if you reopen this, then it will reflect. And then you have ADS, which stands for aim down sights. When you hold the right mouse button in this game, your character will aim down the gun sights, kind of zooming in. So this has a multiplier percent, which is at 75, and the same for sniper multiplier, which I'm not exactly sure. There might be a sniper. There probably is a sniper weapon. So they have their own percent adjustments. These are the defaults and should be yours, 75, 25. I didn't mess with those, so I've left that the same. The only thing I did was bump my 50 mouse sensitivity to 100. And then this is if you just want to invert mouse movement, which you probably won't. And then this is a nice feature some of you may want to use or may not, toggle ADS. So toggling aim down sights means press it once to aim down the sights and then press the button again to stop and draw it out. Whereas by default you just have to hold the button, and then when you don't want to do it anymore you let go. So you get the option here to toggle that that ability in the game. I'm not going to toggle it. I'm just going to press and release kind of thing. So then you just set your stuff here and then you X out, and then it should generate that and you're good. There's nothing to configure. Nothing to configure with that. And that will cover getting the mouse and keyboard to work well. This basically just implements raw mouse input with no acceleration or smoothing applied, either positively or negatively. It's amazing how many games using mouse and keyboard, and since I generally play shooters all the time with mouse and keyboard, there's been so many games where you just need a simple, usually a dinput8 .ell file that's 34.5 kilobytes, super small. Throw that in the directory and it fixes any mouse problems a game has. It's just amazing how simple of a fix it is. And that drives me crazy. Okay, the next thing we're going to cover here is Xbox One controller or X input controllers. Using gamepads comes with issues as well. Since I'm using a mouse and keyboard, I won't go into detail regarding gamepads. If you are having issues though with your gamepad, please check out the gamepad fix section of the PCGamewiki for binary domain at this link below. And I'll put that link in the description of this video as well, so you can get directly to it. It goes right to the page and then right to the section. And there's a big section there about different problems with, because a lot of people will tell you like, avoid using mouse and keyboard at all in this game because the mouse is so screwed up. And yeah, it is. But if you use the mouse fix, then that pretty much resolves it. They say that at the top of the PCGamewiki. That's like the first thing you read for this game, is it's highly advised to use a gamepad. But the gamepads have their own problems, so yes, that's that. So the next thing here is the configuration utility setup here. Most of the game settings are done using an external configuration utility, this one right here that I'm highlighting. Some games back in the day used to do this for whatever reason. I hate when games do this because you can't make adjustments in the game without saving and exiting. Like you can't even increase or lower the volume level of the game, which is only on one slider, by the way. There's no voice, sound effects, music, ambience, nothing. One slider, you have to adjust it through this before you play. Once you're in the game, you can't do anything. It's pretty lame. So I recommend setting the configuration utility to run as administrator as well. This will help ensure that the configuration utility applies and retains your settings. To do this, follow the steps below. So this is the same procedure. We'll do it again. Right-click, Properties, Compatibility, check Run this program as administrator, and then click OK, and you're done. Let's take a look at the binary domain configuration.exe. So I'm going to minimize. Let me open it first, and then let me minimize behind it here. Okay. So spoilers, it's going to show some characters on each tab that's in the game. I'd rather it didn't, but it does. So this is our main character, Dan Marshall, that we play. So your first section here is graphics configuration. And mine was defaulted, selected to the correct graphics card automatically. Pick your resolution from the list here. I'm doing it at 60 refresh rate, or frames per second. Anti-aliasing. I don't know why it was off, but between the two, I would recommend to use, personally, I don't know which one is better, but I know that FXAA has the negative effect of making text look weird, blurry, especially subtitle text. So I'm going to go with MLAA in this game. You could also use Reshade to force SMAA, which is probably arguably better, but I'm not using Reshade in this playthrough for this game. This is good enough. So shadow quality, low, medium, high, put that on high. SSAO quality, put that on high as well. Motion blur enabled. I don't like motion blur, so I'm not using it. Enable VSync. I will be using VSync to lock my frame rate to the 60 Hertz, 60 refresh rate, and to prevent screen tearing. Windowed mode. I prefer to run games in full screen mode if I can. This here, I forget what the defaults will be. I think there will be 30, 20. This is field of view, FOV, your normal, and then when aiming using your weapon, because it kind of zooms in. So you can adjust the field of view here. Generally speaking, for me, personally, when it comes to third-person games like this, or like Dead Space that I previously played, generally I don't like messing with the FOV in third-person games because I really don't know what the correct FOV is when you're in third person. But for me, this game's defaults seem to be fine and suitable. I'm leaving them as they are. I think they default at 30-20. A glitch with this is that no matter what you set these to, especially the top one, when you save and you come back into this, it will always go to 20-20, or at least this will always be 20, regardless of what you set it to. But you don't have to set it every time, and this is true. I've confirmed it because I've increased it really high, saved, tested it in game, came back, looked at it, and it was still 20, but it was obviously higher. It's just a glitch in this configuration utility that it never remembers it, but it's still what you set it at. It just doesn't say it is. So it's always going to look like this. At least the top will be 20. I think this will be as well, unless you change it. So that's the graphics configuration screen. Input. I forget her name. This is one of the girls that's in our squad. The squad I've mentioned, they're AI controlled, so you need to select your input device. This is where you would pick your keyboard or gamepad. I don't have a gamepad plugged in, so it doesn't recognize it. Otherwise, it'd be in the list. These are just my keybinds. They don't really matter. I will mention over here for movement, most people are going to be using W, S, A, and D. I use the arrow keys. you're going to notice that there's two move backwards. But look up, turn left, turn right means spin and like look up and down. So these you're not really going to care about. These are your movement ones. So just to clarify. And then you have four weapons to pick through. There's 4 keybinds: shoot, aiming, reloading, shock burst, which is an upgrade. Display voice commands you can use. Toggle member info. I'm not entirely sure. I think when you have somebody in your active group, you can get information on them by pressing that. A pause key, which is the same as pressing escape. Examine, pick up, focus. Just if somebody says, hey, over here, you press this key, your camera and your character will automatically turn and zoom in on that point. Melee attack, and then you have a button that evades, hides, dashes, rolls, climbs over stuff. It's like your active button. And down here, mouse sensitivity. 501's the default. I didn't mess with this at all either. I'm just going by my DPI of 800 on my mouse and then setting the raw input mod to 100 for my purposes. I left this at default, but you can further adjust the mouse sensitivity. This is the in-game mouse sensitivity adjustment. The one I showed you in the domain.exe is a mod adjustment for that. So 501 is the default. This down here where they say that as using the keyboard and mouse, some icons may not display correctly in the game. Well, this can directly affect that because these are input display icons, and you do have a choice between either using keyboard or gamepad. So if whatever you're using, make sure that this drop down reflects whether you're using a keyboard or gamepad. Otherwise, you'll be playing on keyboard and it will tell you to press the X button, or something. And then this is for inverting controls. Default. This is the default, which you can also do in the domain thing as well, but you can do it here. And then you can reset defaults if you screw everything up or want to start over again. So none of these keybinds are important. This is just what I have things set to be. Next category is audio. So here's Big Bo. This is our man here. So you have audio adapter. This is what I'll be using when I'm playing. This 7.1 Razer surround headset. You could also just leave this on default and it would just use what the default is. Generally, if I get an option, I like to pick what I actually have, so I'm doing that. Here's the volume adjustment and the only volume adjustment, 0 to 100, and that's it, just a slider. And then input audio adapter, this is for recording, so you could leave this on primary sound capture driver, which would be the same as default, or I'm selecting my mic, USB condenser microphone, for recording my audio when I'm playing. And the last is language, and there's a menu, but it's tied to English. I can't pick anything else, so it's in English, so that'll reflect the subtitles. This isn't showing everybody in our squad. There's at least one other person. I don't know why they didn't show, well, there's only 4 screens, but there's at least another female, 2 males and 2 females. Yeah. So you may have different voice options here. I don't know. There is some Japanese speaking in the game. I don't know if that'll be subtitled or not, but... And that's it. And then you just save and quit. I'm just going to quit because I've already saved everything. Actually, no. I need to make sure that saves, so I'm going to save and quit. Okay, we'll go back to this. Okay, so that covers a big bulk of configuration here. So now we're getting into the in-game settings options, which there are very few. So now we will go over the in-game settings, explaining how and showing how to configure them. So the first category in the game you'll have is screen, and in here you can adjust brightness, gamma value, and screen size. I'll be keeping these sliders all in the middle as my baseline. Keep in mind that the screen size slider is full screen when it's set in the middle. Think of it as a zooming setting, like a zoom setting. The title screen option screens just have black bars on the top and the bottom. That's just how they are. But when you play the actual game with that slider on the middle, it'll full screen. So just don't be confused and think that you need to adjust that because of the way it looks in the title screen. I don't know why they did it that way, but the next category you will have is game settings, and here you'll have aim assist. This is if you're playing with the gamepad and want help to make aiming easier. It's my understanding that aim assist settings in general don't apply to mouse controls at all in games, which is how it should be in my opinion. But if you want help aiming and using a gamepad, then you might want to turn that on. Voice input. If you don't want to use voice commands through your microphone, then turn this setting off. Like me, if you still want to use your microphone for commentary, you won't accidentally give your squad commands just because you are talking. So I'm not using that. I'm just going to be using keybinds to do the commands. So I'm turning that off. I have read that the voice recognition system doesn't work all that well, but I've never used it. The next option is subtitles. Pick whether you want subtitles on or off. We will be using them in this playthrough. And then the last category you'll have is voice recognition settings. This covers voice recognition test, recognized work list, not work, it's a typo, recognized word list, and then calibrate, score thresholds, and then noise setting. These are all settings you should look at if you intend to use the voice recognition system. I don't have much to say about them, but we'll glance at them in-game. So it's just things to set up, you know, so that it works as best as it can. And the last thing we have to go over here is a QOL, or a quality of life / mod. So it's basically just a no intro videos. So this mod gives you empty or blank intro video files, letting you go to the title screen faster each time you play the game. So go to this folder path in binary domain, which would be over here. So once you're in there, go to movie, and then make backup files first, then replace the originals with the mod versions. So you can see I've already made a folder. These are the original files, the intro videos for the game studio, for Sega, and then whatever these advertise things are, one in English and JP means Japanese. So I made a folder, no intros, and inside I have a normal version and the mod version. And so I went here and copied the originals. I put them in normal as backups, and then the mod files are in here. So for now I'm leaving the originals because in the first gameplay video that I start the series with, I like to show the intros. But then when I do subsequent videos in the gameplay videos, I usually do disable videos, intros like that if I can, intro videos. Because usually when I start like gameplay part 2 and then on, I'm already in the game ready to go. So, but you will see those on the first one. And that's all you do. So just make sure you back up your stuff, so in case you want to go back to the originals. And then you'll get to the title screen way quicker. So we'll finish this video by going into the game. I'll run down the settings we just covered with you here, which isn't many. So I'm going to do a quick edit cut here in this video, and we'll see you in the game. Thank you. Hello everyone, and welcome to the in-game portion of the config and tech video for binary domain. Wanted to do a little visual coverage here of these options real quick. So screen, here's where the brightness, gamma, and screen size sliders are. Just keeping them in the middle. game settings, aim assist, voice input, and subtitles. And then the voice recognition settings. So test voice recognition to see whether it accurately understands what you say. View the words that voice recognition understands and check recognition results with a voice recognition test. You can adjust the acceptable recognition score. Do so after testing voice recognition. Set background noise volume to keep ambient sounds and game music from being picked up. So it's hard to tell which one you have highlighted. Please say the following words clearly into the microphone. Testing, testing, so it is picking up my mic right now. So we're not going to be doing any of it. Let me see. Fire. Fire. It's picking up my voice, but I don't have the system turned on and the other option, so it's not going to do anything. That's what that one looks like. The word list just shows words that the game will recognize. Lowering the recognition threshold will lower the bar for recognition, allowing the game to treat previously unrecognized words as successfully recognized. This may result in more recognition errors, however. There are currently a number of improperly recognized cases. Try lowering the recognition threshold. This may increase the number of properly recognized words. And then noise settings. Speak into your headset and watch the volume indicator above. Sounds that pass the pink line are recognized as voice, and those that do not are ignored as noise. If any sounds are at a volume that crosses the pink line when not speaking, raise the noise setting. If your speaking voice does not cross the line, try lowering the noise setting. This will ensure that only your speaking voice will be picked up. So it's a little complicated. Something you definitely have to mess with, and probably mess with again to get really dialed in. And that is it. And that's all the settings that you get in the game that you can mess with, really, besides what we pre-configured in the early part of this video. So that covers the options in the game. I appreciate you watching this video. And in the next video that follows, we'll be getting directly into the first gameplay video. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you there. Bye.